morning, Christian. And, well, champagne for breakfast is not a rare thing. What do people look for when they buy champagne?
I think more and more these days people are looking for diversity. And we're realizing that you can have a lovely brut champagne with sashimi, you can have a rosé champagne with Korean barbecue, you can have a vintage champagne with perhaps something a bit more substantial. I think people are really looking for choice.
Really? Champagne with Korean barbecue? I've never heard that before.
I just came from Korea 4 days ago,
Really?
and we did an entire evening of champagne barbecue with rosé, and it was perfect.
Does it really go with, rich flavors, whether it's spicy?
Absolutely. Champagne has very, very high acidity and very low sugar, which makes it the perfect match for anything that has a lot of spice to it. So anything from curry to hot red pepper sauce, it's quite versatile, actually.
So I guess in Asia, consumption of champagne is growing, would you say?
Consumption is up significantly all across Asia at the moment. In the last 10 years, we've really just seen such incredible development all across the board, which is wonderful news for us in Champagne.
No, I really got to give it a try. I never thought of pairing up champagne with Asian food, especially the hot and spicy ones. So which champagne choices should you consider when you want to pair it up with our kind of food?
I think if you're looking for something classic, perhaps a dish from Southeast Asia that has a bit of spice to it, a bit of kick, I think a classic brut champagne, such as the Piper-Heidsieck Cuvée Brut, would actually be an excellent choice. It's very light, it's very fresh, it plays on much of a springtime register, and so it really lets the flavors of the food come through. It doesn't overpower them.
Okay, well, one of the challenges for champagne drinking for many people is actually opening up a bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, you spill it or you shake it or whatever. So what's the right way of opening a bottle?
Contrary to popular belief, the best way to open a bottle of champagne is to make as little noise and commotion as possible. You're really trying to be as discreet as possible because it's a very precious liquid and you don't want to waste any of it.
I mean, that's true.
So
but
it's not the big pop and...
No, we always see that, especially F1 podium finishers. That's what they do. They will shake it up and you see the whole thing falling out.
And I feel so bad for them because they've just spent the entire afternoon sweating in this car and they don't have a chance to drink it because they're covering everyone with it. So.
Okay, so let's try to
as
open...
discreetly and quietly as you can. We're going to put Tim to the test and we'll see whether he does it the right way.
Am I doing the right thing here?
So far, excellent, Tim.
Okay, peel off the covering first and then we've got...
Okay, while I do this, maybe you can ask Christian more questions because this will take time.
You just want to keep your finger over the top to make sure that it's not going to come off.
Okay.
Because you don't want to hurt anyone at the table.
Okay. They say sometimes the bigger the bottle, the better. Is that true?
Was that too loud?
It was a bit loud. But I think it was great for this time of the morning.
Okay, maybe you can do it for us and demonstrate.
Absolutely.
How quiet?
Now I want to see how quiet you can do this.
Exactly.
In terms of bottle format, it depends. A Magnum is a lovely size to have because it allows the champagne to age.
Is there a way to hold the bottle as well as you...
You can actually take the cage off like this first, then you can actually raise the bottle. And the idea is to hold the cork and twist...
Not towards me, please.
That's why I've got my hand on it, no worries, Suzanne.
Just kidding.
And you twist the bottom of the bottle. So the idea is you want a bit of a pop.
Okay, like you're unscrewing something.
There you go.
That's the sound we're looking for.
Exactly.
And thank you, please.
That is a controlled pop, I guess. Okay, now there are plenty of champagne brands, champagne houses from that region of France. So how can you tell, is there a distinct taste to a Piper-Heidsieck champagne compared to, a Moet or...
The thing is that there's over 5,000 producers of champagne in the world, and it's wonderful to see so many of them, being available now outside of France. I think what you're looking for is you're always looking for a very steady, small stream of bubbles, which indicates that the champagne actually aged for a prolonged period of time, and the carbonation wasn't injected like a lot of times you find in very inexpensive sparkling wines. Of course, the nose should always be very clean, and you should really be looking for freshness, for elegance, for finesse on the nose. And between the eye and the nose, you can actually tell quite a bit about it before it's even in your mouth.
The bubbles should be small, and that indicates it's a good champagne. What about, you know, do you need more bubbles or less bubbles?
A lot of the, another common misconception is on the bubbles. Most of it has to do with the glassware. A lot of times when we're served champagne in a restaurant, there might be microscopic traces of dishwashing detergent on the bottom of the glass, which could alter the size of the bubbles. But in general, they should be quite small and quite steady.
Okay.
Okay.
There's more than 1 million bubbles in one glass of champagne.
Okay, what's the process of making champagne that makes it different from other types of sparkling wine like the cava or something like that?
Well, first and foremost, we have a lot of laws in Champagne. The region was last delimited in 1927, so Champagne can only come from those 34,000 hectares. We're the northernmost viticultural region in Europe, so the wines, again, have very, very high acidity and very low sugar. And of course, we've been making the wines there for more than 3 centuries, so we have the expertise of the region. The soil is made of chalk, which is a natural irrigation source for the vine. And of course, we're blending from more than 319 different villages, a combination of Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier, which are the red grapes of Champagne, and Chardonnay, which is the white grape of Champagne.
I also know there's a very special group of people who work in this industry, the riddlers. What exactly do they do? Tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Well, when we blend the champagne together, we place it into the bottle, and we're going to inject a tiny bit of yeast and sugar to trigger the secondary fermentation, which of course is what gives us the bubbles. You then have to get the sediment out of the bottle. So after 3 years spent aging, about 40 meters underground in these perfect conditions, the riddler actually is charged with removing this sediment. So I'm not going to use that one because it'll spill all over you, Susan. What you're going to do is turn the bottle 1/4 of an inch every day for 6 weeks to actually get the sediment in the neck of the bottle. And then we're going to freeze the neck of the bottle and actually eject the sediment.
So is this done manually or is it?
It's done manually, and it's also done by machine. Of course, for the first 2 centuries it was done manually, but now more and more we're doing it by machine. The reason for that is you have much more precision and control over the process. Of course, the riddlers, being France, we certainly haven't gotten rid of them. They're still on hand to guide us through the process. So.
Okay, well, there is a difference between this rosé and a brut champagne. Can you tell us what the difference
Certainly.
is?
If you want to pour a little bit of it actually into your glass, this is quite a special rosé.
Okay, before I do that, is there a right way of pouring champagne?
The best way to pour it usually is to place your thumb in the bottom of the bottle. It's quite difficult, though. But you pour it like this, usually. Exactly.
Like this.
And tilt the cup a little.
A little bit, exactly.
Okay, so the rosé is pink.
Yep. And basically, most rosé champagnes are made by adding still Pinot Noir that comes from the Champagne region to the blend before it's placed in the bottle. And your traditional champagne house is going to use about 10% rosé wine. The specificity of the Piper-Heidsieck Rosé Sauvage is that we use 25% of red wine, and that's why this is the one we had with Korean barbecue, because it has the beautiful acidity, but it also has the red wine composition that makes it stand up to meat so well.
No, I like the
Now
color.
you know what to have with your
Well, you know, they say when you open a bottle of champagne, you should quickly finish it. Is there a good way of storing it, or should you really just finish it on
I'm
the
asked
spot?
this question all the time, and it always surprises me because I always give people my card and say, if you can't finish it, call me and I'll come over and we can finish it together. Exactly.
Bottle, right?
In France, we say a magnum is the perfect size for 2 people. But if you would like to preserve it, the best way is you can find a champagne stopper, which you can find in most specialty wine shops, place it into the bottle of champagne, and usually it will last for about a day or 2.
A day or 2. Okay, but then again, when you open a bottle of champagne, you usually just finish it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's how good it is. All right, well, thank you very much for coming in this morning, Kristen.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for the champagne.
Yeah, just great.
Perfect timing for our breakfast on a Friday.
You know, brunches, they always come with champagne these days. If you go to different hotels, there's always champagne brunch. Okay, our guest this morning, Christian Holthausen, who is the communications director for renowned champagne houses, Piper-Heidsieck and Charles Heidsieck, telling us more about the drink.